on the floor next to his own severed head. A head which at this time has no name.
I know his name.
G'day guys, Mac here, Circle, and today we're going to look at my box set of Space Crusade. Yeah, I have this thing. Well, for a start, look at that. Isn't that glorious box art if ever you saw it? This is the, I believe, second edition of the game. It's got a slightly worse bit of box cover art than the original. Interestingly enough, it's kind of a time capsule of sorts, because this is from 1990. Milton Bradley. Just dropped a piece of paper out the back, but that's alright. These kids are looking very invested in the game. We get some really early Blood Angels artwork there, because this is going right back to still Rogue Trader, not even second edition 40k yet. And inside the box was this sheet of paper, which goes on how to assemble the board and the Marines. As you can tell from the images, they are particularly beautiful miniatures. State-of-the-art 1990s plastic casting technology right there. Very beautiful stuff. Before I get into the miniatures themselves, it also came with this. I've got a lot of boxed board games from the 90s. I was born in the 80s, obviously, so yeah, I remember a lot of these. Connect 4, I own it. Guess Who, yep. Battleship, yep. Yahtzee, Trouble, Twister. Oh man, all the classics. Jenga. I never own the original Hero Quest. But hey, I've got Space Crusade. Wouldn't mind the add-ons for Space Crusade, but very hard to find. So yeah, cool little bit of nostalgia right there. So what do we get in the box? Well, this is the original box. I believe it was around 30 bucks, something like that at the time. Pretty good value for money. Geez, where to start? There's a little bit to talk about here, so we'll start over here. We have 3 different chapters of Loyalist Marines, one of whom I knocked down with that piece of paper. Take a guess who they are. One's red, one's yellow, one's blue. If you guess Blood Angels, Imperial Fists, and Ultramarines, you are wrong. That is the Blood Angels, Imperial Fist, and Ultramarine Marines. So, just so you know, that's what they were. So, 3 different chapters to pick from. Generally, you have one person play as one chapter in the game. Lovely, lovely miniatures, these ones. Hopefully that is in focus. Yep, state-of-the-art technology. Monopose, pretty much exactly the same sort of quality as you see in the modern Indomitus set, I think it's safe to say. Primaris Marines have nothing on these bad boys. These are clearly beautiful state-of-the-art snap fit monopose miniatures. There is no way known you could possibly improve on this sort of genuine level of quality. I mean, just look at that. They don't even make Imperial Fists in yellow nowadays, do they? I mean, it's just perfect. The dice as well. Hear that noise? Doesn't really sound right. You know why? They're made of wood. These are not metal. These are not plastic, which is what you'd expect of a dice these days to be plastic. These are actually wood. Timber dice. They are actually carved. Think about that. Then we've got our bad guys. So in Space Crusade, again, being Rogue Trader era, things aren't exactly, you don't just have an enemy. You have a host of enemies who seem to all be working together. We have Chaos Space Marines, for instance. Beautiful, lovely model, right down to the evil backpack. One of whom is the aspiring champion, Chaos Lord Corn Boy with the, that's a heavy bolter by the way that he's armed with. Yes, I know, hard to believe. We also have Gene Stealers. Ooh, very spicy meme. Pretty much looking the same as they do now, funny enough, out of all of these miniatures. The Snotling, in this case armed with some sort of flintlock blunderbuss, and they're quite big actually. I'll get a Space Marine for scale, but there you go, same size. So Snotlings were jacked back in the day. Androids. Now these guys are sort of like pseudo Necrons. Interesting little model. And of course the beloved Orc Boy. Last but not least, the Dreadnought. In plastic as well. And it's a weird design. I don't really know what it's sort of analogous to today. Perhaps the Deredeo would be closest, but it is armed very, very differently. It's armed like a Contemptor. So we'll talk about that later. So in this box set, you get different ways to deploy the table. This is mission 1. So in our mission book here, by the way, I'll show you some of this 1990s artwork. Before Battlefleet Gothic style, there was Space Fleet. And this style of ship was the Imperial ship. Also, we've got some early Titans there, some beautiful Space Marine artwork. Just lovely stuff. Brah. And of course, here's our mission. As you can see, that's the table we've got laid out, minus the doors. And I'm not talking about the band with Jim Morrison. I mean, there's actual doors. And you'll see I've got a couple, one over here and one back here. So they're little slot in onto these little plastic tabs, these doors. And there's a whole bag full of them. I just chose not to put them out because what's the point? You also have a range of tokens. For example, you have blips, and the blips are kind of like in Space Hulk, if anyone's played that. You flip it over, and it reveals something underneath it. And that is how the bad guys enter play. You essentially get given a number of these blips as the opposing player to the Space Marines, who will start off in one of these locations. There's actually 3 of them. You place these blips around, and when the Space Marines get within a certain number of squares of the blip, you give the blip a flip, and that'll tell you what pops out. There's also other things like primary objectives you can get. This objective point's worth 30 points, for instance. It's just black when it's flipped over. There are 5 Chaos Space Marine token, for instance. So actually has a picture of a Space Marine with Chaos on it, which is pretty neat. Obviously there's a lot of those tokens, so I didn't get them all out. There's also the actual rulebook provided. With this is the original cover art for the original Space Crusade box. With the full-on Al Pacino Scarface, say hello to my little friend, Space Marine, in very interesting armor. So, just to compare the pair, I reckon this was the cooler cover. But I could be biased, who knows. So, we've also got some more of that lovely Space Crusade original 90s artwork. Shocked, frankly, that they're not still using this stuff in the Codex today. The tracker the Marines have out of Alien. And they've also got these cool little stories they've thrown in along the way. Pretty neat stuff. It's not a particularly hard game to pick up. It's a board game designed for kids, so it's actually very easy to pick up. Easier than, well, 30k or 40k if we're being honest. Now, during the actual game, you have orders you can play for your Marines. You also have equipment. So, for instance, digital weapons here. So I could play this card. It'll have everything that it does written on it. You also have this random deck here that you draw from. Now the random deck is interesting because you get different events that may be good or bad for the opposing player. Suicide android. Any one android may self-destruct after moving. So the worshippers of a certain deity over here, run up to your marines, boom, play that card. Pretty handy. You've got others, weapon jammed. Play on one of the Space Marine players. Oof, that's a nasty one. Jamming marine weapons, especially if you've got something like Gene Stealers, nasty. Each Space Marine may pick one extra battle card, order card. So, awesome little trinkets right there. As you can see, it's quite a bit of variety. Gene Stealer, this is a nasty one. This got FAQ'd, I believe it's to 3 Gene Stealers when you pluck this card, because one Gene Stealer turned out to be way too easy to stop. 3 of them, on the other hand, not very easy to stop. Because Gene Stealers can move 8 squares, and obviously you can see the tiles in the background, so 8 squares. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is a lot. When a Space Marine with a heavy weapon is going 1, 2, 3, 4. Big difference. Anyway, this is obviously my original set of Space Crusade. I also have the Alien, sort of like the shortcut list with all the different stats of the different units on it. It's a little block that you place down on your side of the table with all the stats and everything on it. We also have this shortcut card with what the different weapons do that you may have on your character. And along with that, victory points, damage, that kind of thing, all calculated on this little table. I have a mate who does a lot of 3D printing. One of the other engineers at my factory has his own set of 3D printers in his department. I'm going to get him to make me a new version of those 3D printed, and the same with these walls and doors. I think it would look much neater. Because what I want to do is I want to make a modern version of this game. See, now we're getting to the crux of this video. So, what am I doing? Well, the Gene Stealers, for instance. I have gone onto eBay and purchased 3 Gene Stealers, and they're the original, well, not the original, the latest version of Space Hulk's Gene Stealers. So they're really nice looking. They have the little bits of terrain that they're sculpted leaping off of, like metal bulkheads and stuff. That's going to look really good because I'm going to base them on the Necromunda bases. So they'll be neat. Orc Boys, I think I'll go with the plastic Orc Boys. I haven't got any though. I haven't even started trying to get them. But I'll ask around, find out if anyone has just 10 Orc Boys that I don't want, unpainted, nicely cleaned up, or even on sprue, and I'll buy it off them. And I want to make the 10 Orc Boys that I need. It's just 10 Orc Boys, nothing too crazy. There's a couple of big shooters, I think, but the Snotlings, yeah, not sure how I'm going to tackle those yet. I might just use the current Snotlings box. The Space Marines of Chaos, I have obviously bought a brand new box of Chaos Space Marines to make these guys. For the Dreadnought, I'm thinking of buying a Deredeo and then magnetizing and making up a few different types of weapons for the Deredeo. So I think this closely resembles a Deredeo Dreadnought. There were a couple of extra Dreadnoughts available in the expansion packs of the game. Maybe I could get away with using a Contemptor. I don't know though, because it doesn't really look like a Contemptor. It does look a lot like a Deredeo. Just the underslung heavy bolter type weapons that it's got there. Yeah, Ed 209 here. Maybe I could use Ed 209. The way these things get damaged in the game, by the way, is they don't have wounds. It's just they lose arms essentially. Once all the arms are gone, it dies. Now the Space Marines, that's the tough one. So I want to make them each visually distinct, and I'm trying to figure out a way to do this. Now I thought I could go current Tactical Marines, but I'm like, oh, current Tactical Marines, I think they're a touch small, especially when I have the Chaos Space Marines who are going to be huge. What I managed to do was track down again through eBay a guy in Japan who has the Space Marine Heroes, And I'm going to use those individual Space Marine heroes with a tiny bit of conversion here and there to try and make these guys. I'll also try and track down some Blood Angels parts to make those guys, and some Imperial Fist stuff to make these guys. Maybe I'll use some 30k iron armor, some Mark III power armor to make these guys, just to be visually distinct and different. For the Blood Angels, I'm not quite sure yet. Do I go Death Company, regular Blood Angels, what? Or maybe I put them in Terminator armor, even though it'll only count as power armor for the purpose of the game, because there's no Terminator armor in this. And I'll go with that, but I really love some feedback from people on what they think I should do. So yeah, this is Space Crusade. It's a pretty damn fun game too, and part of the reason why I want to do the modern, flashy version of this is I don't want to damage this set or change it. These really quirky, weird, original Space Marines from like Rogue Trader era, I don't want to ruin that. I don't want to even paint it. Even if I could clean up all the mold lines and that, and these things are covered in terrible mold lines, I don't know that it'd be that great. I like the idea of having just the original, I can't say mint because it's definitely not, but original condition Space Hulk box there, and playing with, you know, a nice 3D printed set of walls and 3D printed doors, some 3D printed other stuff. You know, it doesn't have to be high quality 3D prints, but see what we can work out. Anyway, this has been a fun little nostalgia trip. So yeah, that's Space Crusade from Milton Bradley, 1990. Looking very forward. I've actually started work on the Chaos Space Marines. The rest, it'll come in time. I have to wait for these guys to come from Japan, and with the current state of shipping around the world, good luck to me with that one. And on the sides as well, I'll just show, we actually have some of the painted models. So these are really high-end painted for the time, by the way, for those who are curious. And look at that Dreadnought with the awesome flame job. It's like Legion of the Damned. It's actually a Chaos Dreadnought. The other option I had, by the way, was making a Hellbrute. That could be pretty fun. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful models. Anyway, Make It the Outer Circle. Hope you all enjoyed this different type of nostalgia trip. Space Crusade, I mean, come on. What a unique, iconic little game. Flashback to 1990, as I said. Yeah, let me know what you think. I'd love to hear feedback from people in the comments, and if anyone's got 10 new on sprue, good condition orc boys, just armed with shooters and big shooters on 2 of them, I'd love to get a hold of them if they're for a reasonable price. Email us theoutercircle30k@gmail.com and hit me up. Anyway, thanks all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.